Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching this from. I'm Teacher Esther. I'm your teacher of mathematics. Please feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like, comment, share, that we may grow together. Today, as you can see, we are tackling a topic of indices, which is a topic in grade 7, and it is also a topic in Form 2 of the senior school. Now, the first thing that you are going to handle is, what is indices? What is this thing that is called indices? The word indices is from the word index. This is the singular, this is the plural. It is from the word index, which also is called power. It's also called exponent. All these words mean the same. It can be called index, it can be called power, it can be called exponent. All of them mean the same thing. Now, for example, if we have, for example, 2 raised to 3. This is usually the base. This is the base. This is the power. This power is the one that you're seeing. It is also called index or exponent. So when you're given, for example, 2 raised to power 3, whatever is the 2 is the base, and the power, which is also called the exponent or the index, it is whatever is usually on the top, right on the top there. Now when you say 2 raised to power 3, it simply means that it is 2 times 2 times 2. It is 2 multiplying itself 3 times. It is the same when you write, for example, A. Now, if for example, you were to use something that is not 2, 3, for example, A can be B, any letter. A raised to 2. This is the same as saying this is the base and this is the power. This is the same as writing A times A. Now, what if I write A raised to N? What does this mean? It means it is A times A times A times A, all the way up to times A, all the way up to nth time, and 10 times, nth times. This is the power which is here. We do not know how many times are these, so it is A times A times A times A times A until the time when we get to the nth time. I hope we are together up to that point. Now, let's get to different roles of, we have different roles. Let's get now to different rules of indices. They are called laws of indices. Laws of indices. There are several. We are just going to learn maybe a few of them. The first one is called multiplication rule. Now this rule says that when you, for example, when you have A raised to M times A raised to N, this is the same as A M plus N. This is the first rule. When the bases are the same, then you just add the powers. It is a multiplication rule. If the bases are the same, this can be any letter, can be 2, can be B, can be C, can be anything. So if the bases are the same, then you just need to get the powers, then you add them. For example, if we have A raised to 3 times A raised to 2, this simply is A times A times A, then times A times A. A raised to 3 times A raised to 2, which simply is, how many A's do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it is simply, you get A raised to 5. So it is the same. We could have just taken A raised to 3 times A raised to 2. The powers are the same, so it is A 3 plus 2, which is 5. Instead of getting to all this paperwork. Then rule number 2, we have another rule that is called division rule. Division rule. Division rule, for example, if you have A, M, divide by A, N. This is A, M minus N. For example, if the bases are the same and this is a division, it's also called division rule, it's also called quotient rule. Then we have, it is a division and the bases are the same, you simply subtract the powers. For example, if we have A raised to 3 divided by A raised to 2. What do we do? It is A times A times A divided by A times A. This cancels out. This cancels out. These are multiplications. This cancels out. So what has remained is A raised to 1. A raised to 1 is the number itself, which is A. It is A raised to 1 or A. So simply this, you could have just subtracted the power. So it could have been 3 minus 2, you get 1, which is the same as the number itself. Now, to rule number 3, we have power rule. Is one that is called power rule. For example, if we have A power M raised to power N. This is a power, this is a power. So these are power for this one, and it's also, N is also a power for this. So this becomes A M N. You simply multiply the powers. It is A raised to M raised to M still. So both these ones are powers. You just simplify, you simply multiply the powers. For example, if we have A raised to 3, 2, it means it is A 3 times 2, which is A raised to 6. That is what we mean. Then rule number 4, it is called zero rule. Zero rule. In zero rule, simply we say any number raised to 0 is 1. Any number raised to 0 is 1. Whether it is 1 raised to 0 is equals to 1. It can also be 1000 raised to 0. This is simply 1. I hope we are together on that. The 5th rule is called negative power rule. Negative power rule, which is A negative N. In negative power rule, simply we say if we have a power which is negative, this power becomes, it is the same as writing 1. It is the reciprocal of it now over A raised to N. You remove this power, any number, even if it is 2 negative 1. This simply is 1 over 2 raised to 1. Or let's say we have another number like 3 raised to negative 3. This simply is 1 over 3. I hope we are together. Now let's get to rule number 6. Rule number 6, fractional power rule. Fractional power rule, if we have A 1 over N, this becomes root of the denominator, then A power 1, which any number raised to power 1, it is itself, so there's no need of writing power 1. So it is simply the root of N into A. If we have another number like, for example, 2, 1 over 2, if that is what we have been given, then this one will be, there will be 2, whatever is in the denominator becomes the root, and because it is square root, there is no need of writing 2 here. There is no need of writing 2 here. This is already a square root. Raised to 1, there is no need of writing there. So if we have, for example, 4 2 over 3, let's say this is the number that we've been given in indices, this one becomes the third root, whatever is the denominator becomes the root, the third root of 4, then raised to 2, raised to whatever is in the numerator. Let's get to the rule number 7. The rule number 7, let me call it power distributive. Let's call it power distributive, whereby if we have A and B, then into M. Simply, this becomes, when you have this type of indices, this becomes A raised to M dot B raised to M. It simply means that you are distributing M across whatever, everything that is inside the brackets. Also, it also applies to if we have a division, the same for division, this multiplication. If we have, for example, A over B divided by B raised to M, this becomes A M over B M. That's the same. And just point to note, we can note that this does not apply, this rule does not apply to addition and subtraction. For example, if you have A plus B into M, you cannot say this is AM plus B raised to M. Raised to M. You cannot say this. Neither can you say A minus B raised to M is the same as A M minus B M. Please note these are not the same. This distributive rule does not apply to multiplication, to addition and subtraction. It only applies to multiplication and division alone. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. I hope that was educative. The 7 rules of indices. They can be more, they can be less. All in all, we shall continue. I shall continue to teach you more and more rules and mathematics tricks that will help learners to be confident and more competent in mathematics. Please subscribe, like, share, comment, that you shall grow together. Bye. See you next time.